At the prestigious Bramford Academy, a Catholic boarding school in upstate New York, Catherine, or Kat, a freshman, sleeps in the wee hours of the day. She dreams about her parents losing their lives in a car crash. It's soon going to be a week-long winter break. Rose, a beautiful and confident girl, is a senior at the same institution. She lies about being sick and plans not to go home during the break because she suspects she's pregnant. Soon, the parents arrive to pick up their kids for the break. But Kat's parents don't show up, and Rose lies to her parents about the vacation dates to buy herself time to determine if she's pregnant. As a result, both Rose and Kat are left behind in the institution along with 2 nuns. The headmaster Gordon has to leave urgently and will be gone for the break. However, he entrusts Rose to look after Kat. That evening, Kat gets a call from her parents. After dinner, Rose is getting ready to go somewhere when Kat arrives and reminds her that Headmaster Gordon assigned her with Kat's responsibility. Rose is quick to dismiss her and even scares her with an anecdote about the nuns having all the hair in their body burned off. She soon heads out to meet her boyfriend to tell him about the possibility of her being pregnant. The boyfriend must have disappointed Rose with his frat boy attitude because when he drops her back, she looks pissed. She's in the bathroom when she hears a noise. She follows the sounds that take her to the boiler room, where she sees Kat groveling repeatedly before the boiler. Once Kat comes out, Rose tries to talk to her, but when Kat doesn't answer her questions, he changes the topic and asks when her parents will be coming. Kat says they won't be coming. She says she knows Rose asked her parents not to come so she can go on a date. Kat starts getting upset because Headmaster Gordon had said that her parents would be there by Friday, but they haven't come. She believes her parents are dead. Rose freaks out hearing Kat say such horrible things. She asks Kat to sleep and assures her everything is going to be okay before swiftly leaving. Rose is pretty shaken by her conversation with Kat, and fearing for her safety, she locks her room door and uses furniture to block the door just in case. That night, Kat's body starts convulsing and contorting on the bed. The next morning at breakfast, Kat, who looks paler than usual, refuses to say grace. But when one of the nuns asks her to behave, Kat gets up from her seat and vomits all over the table. She's taken to the infirmary where she curses the nuns. They're interrupted by a phone call. It's from Headmaster Gordon informing them of Kat's parents' death, which shocks the nuns. He also mentions that he'll be arriving shortly to deliver the news to Kat. The nun calls Rose and asks her to shovel the path between houses, stressing that she should shovel it down to the earth. Rose is perplexed as she thinks she's being punished. She tries to argue, but one of the nuns cuts her off mid-sentence and tells her that Headmaster Gordon will be arriving that afternoon. Rose starts shoveling the snow and clearing the path. Headmaster Gordon soon arrives with the sheriff. He visits the nun's residence but finds the front door locked. He knocks, but he takes the back door after getting no response. As soon as the 2 men walk inside, their expressions change and they look horrified. A distraught-looking girl arrives at the bus station after escaping from a mental institution. She goes to the station bathroom where she removes her tag. She sits outside at the stop waiting for the bus when a friendly older man named Bill approaches her, asking if she needs help, and offers her a lift. Initially reluctant, she agrees to accompany him after he tells her he's with his wife, Linda. The girl introduces herself as Joan. However, Linda isn't very keen on helping a stranger and asks her husband to drop Joan off at the next station. They end up taking her to a motel with them and let her rest for some time. She wakes up from a nap and goes to take a shower. As she removes her clothes, she stares at the scar on her left shoulder and is reminded of the gunshot, which is the probable cause of the scar. She soon hears a knock on the door. It's Bill, who has come to check on her. When Joan asks why he's helping her, he replies with a question. He asks her if she believes in God. Joan says she doesn't. So Bill explains that people try to find God in inanimate objects, but he doesn't. Instead, he likes to believe in coincidences or things that happen which make him feel God's presence. This is why when he saw her sitting at the bus station, he was reminded of someone he hadn't seen in a long time, and the fact they were traveling the same way. He felt it was more than a coincidence and saw God in her. But Joan deflects the conversation and asks when they will be leaving. Bill is surprised, but he doesn't push her anymore and asks her to join them for dinner after she's dressed. She meets Bill at the restaurant and joins him. Bill tries to make her feel comfortable, but he's also curious to find out more about her, so he asks her questions. He reveals they used to visit and spend a lot of time with their daughter at the restaurant, and finally confesses that Joan reminds him of his daughter, who died 9 years ago. Tomorrow is his daughter's anniversary, and on every anniversary the couple visits Bramford. He brings out a photograph and shows it to Joan. The girl in the picture turns out to be Rose. Joan excuses herself to go to the bathroom, where she suppresses her laughter. It turns out that Joan is not actually her name. She took the identity of a woman named Joan after she strangled her. She walks out of the bathroom but abruptly stops after seeing Bill talking to a cop. She waits for the cop to leave and grabs a knife she sees lying on a discarded plate before joining Bill. However, there's a prediction of a snowstorm the next day, so they decide to leave that night. With the days leading to the winter break, Kat seems to be haunted by a shadowy entity with horns. He would talk to her every time she tried calling her parents and would say that her parents were not coming to get her. He instructs her to eliminate all the women in the school. In the following days, the darkness consumes Kat. That day, after the nuns send Rose to shovel the path, Kat stabs both the nuns. Meanwhile, Rose, who after finishing the work went to take a nap in her room, wakes up. She's still worried about the pregnancy situation and how she's going to handle it, but when she goes to the bathroom, she gets her period. The weight she had been carrying for the last couple of days seemed to be lifted off of her. But her happiness is short-lived as she hears someone enter the bathroom. She calls out to Kat as she's the only other girl in the dorm, but no one answers. Rose walks out looking for Kat but sees no one around. She walks out in an empty corridor, and on the staircase she sees 2 pillow covers stuffed with something sitting in a pool of blood that has started to turn black. Horrified by what she just saw, Rose turns back only to be stabbed by Kat multiple times. Rose soon dies, and Kat proceeds to sever her head. When Mr. Gordon and the sheriff arrive at the nun's residence, Mr. Gordon opens the locked door with the spare keys and finds the lifeless and headless bodies of the 2 nuns. The sheriff follows the blood trail that takes him to the boiler room, where he finds Kat prostrating in front of the boiler with the 3 severed heads. He warns her to drop the knife or else he'll shoot her. She raises her arms and says she has Satan. She screams in an ungodly voice before the sheriff shoots her. Joan listens to Rose's parents fight. Linda has suffered mentally after losing her daughter, which is why she often has panic attacks. Joan suddenly asks Bill to stop the car as she's going to be sick. But it's all a lie, because as soon as Bill stops the car, she slits his throat and stabs Linda multiple times, eliminating them both, and then throws up in the car. She severs their heads and shoves them into their suitcase before wiping off the blood from her face and putting on some makeup. It's revealed that Joan is Kat, who after being shot was detained in a mental hospital. She was visited by a priest who performed an exorcism on her, which freed Kat from the horned demon. She looked at the entity in the shadows and pleaded with him not to go, but he vanished. Present day, Kat walks to the gates of Bramford Academy carrying the suitcase with the severed heads of Bill and Linda. Finding it locked, she goes to the other door and reaches the boiler room to summon the demon once again after losing him 9 years ago. But when she touches the boiler, she finds it's cold because it hasn't been used all these years. Feeling alone and with nowhere to go, she walks out of the academy and breaks down crying in the middle of the road. That concludes our recap of the horror movie The Blackcoat's Daughter. Subscribe for more psychological horror that offers the thrill of a roller coaster ride from the comfort of your home. Don't forget to hit that bell icon to ensure you never miss out on another adventure.